In studio with Councillor Michael Diachuk. Michael, thank you for joining us today. Obviously a very busy Christmas season, wrapping up a very busy fall-winter season, obviously, for City Council. You got earlier this month to enjoy your voice night. How do you find that experience?
Well, I think the turnout was certainly more than I would have expected initially, and I was a little bit late getting there, but I heard that certainly people were there ready to go at 4 o'clock, and I'm excited about that, because I think the point of having them is to have people out and hear their opinions, and I think there were people with opinions there, which is good.
Certainly, indeed. There's a few other Your Voice Night events over the past 2 years. I know you've particularly had a lot of feedback from people on a number of issues, from the buildings report to the Martin Brown area development to other issues from earlier in the year. Is it good to see that the community is so engaged moving forward?
Yeah, I think it is. In the end, I understand that we're elected to sort of make the decisions, but we're also elected to represent the community, and it's not just the opinion that I may have, but it's the opinion of the people that, the residents of the city, the ratepayers, and these events really give us a chance to sit, chat, stand and chat, have a coffee, and talk not only just about 1 or 2 issues, but other things that we perhaps haven't even thought about. So I think the conversations sort of build and allow us to explore other things and other issues that we may not be seeing coming forward at this point in time, but again, are brought to our attention, I think, and that's part of this whole notion of us being connected to our community, and then we're able to really, better represent the ratepayers.
And being out and about in the community over the past year, what's been the biggest surprise, or what stood out the most in terms of something you've heard from residents or something you've experienced out and about? Well,
I think, a couple of things. Shopping is obviously a different experience when you're on council, because it doesn't matter what aisle you're on in the store you're in. Yeah. People say, hey, and by the way, and those kind of things, and that's good, and I really appreciate that. But I think one of the issues that I've heard a lot about is less about the city and how it's being run, and more about the economy. There's concern about the number of people that are in a tough spot where there's no work, and they're sort of down to the end of the resources they have. They're asking about businesses in the community, and where are we at, and what are we doing about it. So I think there's that concern in the community about our economy, and what role do we play in sort of moving it forward. I think there have been some glimmers, obviously, in the last little while in terms of some announcements, but I think, again, our community is doing some adjustments around diversification. We've seen stories certainly around industries. I think Foremost is now making the granary bins as opposed to just the oil tanks, and I think that's good news. Sort of the back end of that, though, is as you have more and more of those conversations, is realizing sort of the resources that we do have. We're, certainly around the ag industry, where we do extremely well within our area. One of the things that we can't forget is we're also a college community, and the college brings a lot of money and different people into our community. So there are pieces, I think, that are within our community that we can't lose sight of, and that's kind of trying to make sure we reference all of them in that context. And so, yes, we have some sectors that are struggling, and people who work in those areas are having a tough time, and we need to keep kind of trying to move things around and forward in order to support that economic growth in our community.
Now, I know people are optimistic, or some people are certainly optimistic, that that's going to improve over the course of this next year. If we continue to see sort of a slow time in the oil industry, in the gas industry, the energy industry in general, what are some of the things, perhaps say with the Lakeland College side of it, where the city can continue to move things a little bit that help various aspects of the economy in the local community in the next year or so?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I'm not sure I have a really good answer for it. I think, the city council has met with the board of governors and the president of the college on an ongoing basis, and certainly one of the topics that does come up is around transportation. In particular, international students and students that move in that don't have the capacity to travel and own their own vehicle at this point, and many end up getting it. I know that's a piece that's still sitting there that we need to, I think, probably get creative and find some solutions. And some of that creativity may actually support the other demands around transportation in the city. But I think overall, the study I think that the college has done is like for every dollar spent, it has a multiplier effect of somewhere between 9 and 13 in terms of the impact on the economy. So It's a big part, and I think it's important not so much that the college is going to sort of lead the community, but it's a big part of it. There are many communities would love to be where we are and have a college and post-secondary kind of institution like we do. It's a benefit for community members who have their children go to school from pre-K all the way out the other end with a degree, and many communities and families would go, I'd like to have that. So from that perspective, I think it's just being cognizant that when we promote ourselves and our city and our experiences that we have, our location, we're busy, we're on the Yellowhead, we have a post-secondary institution, we have a booming ag industry that's growing, and our petroleum and oil and gas sector is reconfiguring and rebalancing, and you see industry and announcements and you sort of go, yikes. But on the other hand, the reality is that, as much as we'd like to be able to control the price of oil and gas, that is beyond us. And so we have to do what's within our means relative to promoting growth in our city.
Absolutely. Thank you again for joining us this day, and enjoy the rest of the Christmas season.
Thanks very much. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you.